He got fired from his own company. Most people never recover from something like that. They quit, they disappear, they move on. But he didn't. He came back and somehow built one of the most valuable company in human history. Most people think he changed the world because he was a genius. And maybe he was. But honestly, that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is how he thought. Because once you really see the pattern behind it, you start to realize these things are actually learnable. One thing everyone around Jobs noticed early on was that he treated reality almost like a suggestion, not arrogance. Something much harder to explain than that. Deadlines, physics, budget. He refused to accept limits, at least not without a fight. He'd push and push until something gave. And eventually, the engineers closest to him gave it a name. They called it the reality distortion field. And once you understand what that actually means, it starts to make complete sense. The best example, the first iPhone. 6 months before the iPhone launch, Jobs realized the plastic screen was scratching way too early. He wanted glass. The team told him it was not possible, not on that timeline. He picked up the phone and called the CEO of glass factory. Within weeks, they produced a glass that had never been mass manufactured before. It was Gorilla Glass, which was shipped on millions of iPhones because one person refused to accept the word impossible. Most people negotiated with reality the moment it pushes back. Jobs negotiated till last, when there was truly no other choice. And that single difference completely changed what was possible. Believing in the impossible means absolutely nothing if your attention is scattered across 100 different things. And Steve Jobs knew that better than anyone. This is where he became almost ruthless, because he understood something that most people spend their entire careers missing. Focus is not about saying yes to the right things. It's about saying no, no, and no again. No is not a rejection. No is a strategy. No is a superpower. In 1997, Apple was collapsing. Too many products, too many directions. Nobody inside the company even knew what Apple stood for anymore. Not even the people building it. So Jobs walked up to a whiteboard, drew a simple 2x2 grid, and eliminated almost everything else. Just like that. That single act of clarity saved the company. Once Jobs knew exactly what mattered, he became completely obsessed with who he was building it with. Because to him, the team wasn't just important, it was everything. He believed average people quietly normalize average behavior, and exceptional people quietly normalize excellence. The standard of the room become your standard, whether you notice it or not. And honestly, this part is little uncomfortable because your environment is shaping your ambition right now as you watch this, more than you probably realize. The people around you quietly decide what feels normal, what feels possible, what even feels worth trying. So Jobs protected that environment every single time. If this made you see things a little differently, hit like. It genuinely helps more people find this. And subscribe because there is a lot more like this on the way. Maybe the strangest thing about Jobs was how random, completely disconnected part of his life kept showing up exactly when he needed them most, in ways nobody could have predicted. After dropping out of college, he started sitting in a calligraphy class. No grade, no reason, no plan. At that time, it looked completely pointless. But years later, that class became the typography of the Macintosh. Beautiful fonts, proportional spacing, a design language that changed personal computing forever. From a calligraphy class he took for absolutely no reason. Curiosity looks irrational right before it changes your life. You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can connect them by only looking backward. So keep placing dots, even when they don't make any sense yet. Trust that eventually they will connect. So, here's the real Steve Jobs playbook distilled down to 4 things. First one, challenge the limits everyone else accepts without question. Second, protect your focus like it is your most valuable asset. Third, surround yourself with people who quietly raise your standard. And fourth, follow your curiosity long before the world understands why. Because maybe that's the real lesson in all of this. The future doesn't belong to people who think normally. It belongs to people willing to look a little unreasonable, just a little longer than everyone else. Think different. See you in the next one. Thank you.